Kristi, so I wanted to ask you, you've been sort of in the cutting edge of programmatic, of using data for advertising. Give us an update on how you're using data and to sort of target your audience, if you will, excuse the expression, and how technology, how data has transformed your media work, the way that you operate.
Yeah, it's been one of the greatest gifts of taking the job at Target is to come to understand the amount of first-party data that the company has available. Because we're a retail organization, we're able to really understand who our guests are and how they shop. As a result of that, and the work that the company has done to make that data accessible to different areas within our company, we're able to really create these rich marketing programs that are very specific to groups of human beings, groups of guests, and what their natural interests are. And it's been I guess a conceptual idea in our industry for a very long time, but at Target we actually have the data organized in a way where all of the media teams and our media agency can access the data to do some really interesting work. We are targeting our guests at some of the more narrower ways. One, kind of personalizing our messages through digital channels, kind of the way that the industry has been doing it for a while. But we're now getting to the point where we're starting to take our first-party data and apply it to mass media. And video, television in particular, being the frontier that we are going to attack in 2017.
So how about delivering video to particular users, or is it sort of targeted? And there's talk about addressability, but how do you sort of deliver to particular users and across screen and in such a mass company with such a huge following?
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing that we're really focused on cracking right now. And the way that we think, so that we see application of our first-party data in two broad ways. The first one is by really understanding how our guest views video, not how broad demographics view video. That actually changes program rankers, content rankers in ways that we didn't necessarily expect. The industry used to be really focused on high attentiveness, premium quality programming, and that was kind of decided by us and by the media companies in particular. But now we're actually able to go right to our guests and ask them what do they consider their favorite programming, and those lists are very different. So you can imagine the power of understanding that when we go to any of the media companies and talk about the kind of programming that we want to buy from them or the kind of content we want to develop with them. It's really guiding us to go in different directions.
Are they at your level yet? Or
some of them are. Some of them are great partners, and they're very much coming in ready, willing, and able to start to crack these kinds of content conversations. And with that comes moving that content across platforms. So is it watched on the big box or the little box? And how do we actually watch that content move from one platform to another? And the way that we talk about that is that we want to execute video programs the way that our guest watches video. And so we're letting the guests tell us how they're moving from one screen to another.
And what about versioning? Because you have stores in all parts of the country where there's all seasonal considerations and so forth. What about serving up either versions or potentially creative optimized material?
Yeah, we're hoping to get to a more sophisticated place with that. And addressable TV has been stuck in this kind of awkward place for a very long time. So we're hoping that we can find some more creative ways to really start to do addressable at scale, but keep it simple enough so that we can really think about an individual market and what does that individual market need. And we're not to the place yet where we can start to understand patterns across the country that start to aggregate, so it makes it easier for us to execute. We still are looking at it one store at a time, one market at a time, which just makes it hard from a mechanics standpoint to really be able to execute it at scale. And that's part of what we're really dealing with this year. And if we, instead of us trying to figure out how to personalize messaging, the opportunity may be more around how we can copy split content and then attach our brand to that content. That might be a more relevant, more interesting way to think about addressable.